Hi, it's Will from StormTheCastle.com, and here on YouTube you know me as Epic Fantasy, and it's my latest tutorial. This is a plastic model build. You know I love the plastic models, and this is a 135 scale Tamiya Walker Bulldog tank. Fun little project, easy to build, and it has a lot of moving parts like the turret and the gun, and the machine gun there, the 50 cal, and comes with 3 figures, and of course the tracks all move, which is kind of neat. So fun little project. Let's launch into it.
Dioramas, origami, catapults, and trebuchets, telescopes, terrariums, bonsai trees, and paper games, swords and shields, and real blacksmithing, model rockets, animation. I teach the art of real creation. StormTheCastle.com. Let's make something.
So I ordered it on Amazon.com, and I have a link if you want to buy this same one. The link is in the description of the video down below. It came in, I was pretty excited. See, it's 135 scale M41 Walker Bulldog by Tamiya. And let's take a look inside. So what you get is the various parts. There's all the, the hull of it. What do you call it on a tank? Is it a hull? No, it's not a hull. It's the frame of the tank, the top and bottom. There's the turret. And then the sprues. And a sprue is a plastic injection molded piece with all the various pieces on it. That one was the people, and there's all the various other sprues. And it also comes with the decal sheet. Right there, that white thing. There's decals on the other side of that. And a couple of sets of instructions. One of them is in Japanese and one's in English. And those tracks are there that I showed you. Those tracks are like some kind of a neoprene rubber. Kind of neat. And the tracks are a little bit different. And I'll show you. So I got some new things here for you if you watch my plastic model tutorials. There's some new techniques here. Even though it's an easy build, it's kind of fun. So the first thing you should always do when building a model is wash it gently with soapy water and rinse it really well. This is to get any oils off of it so the paint stays and the glue sticks well and it's nice and clean. And don't dry it by hand. Just put it on paper towels like this and let it dry by air. Because you can actually, break the small pieces or break them off of the sprue. See how tiny some of those pieces are? You can lose them. So just let it air dry. And here's what I use to make this model. I love this headlamp. This head magnifier. I use this all the time. I bought it on Amazon too. It's got a bunch of different settings to help look at small parts and get detailed look. An X-Acto knife. I actually used 2 different types of cement. That was the regular cement and then the thin cement, some tweezers, a couple of paint brushes, and 2 colors of paint, black and green. And the model recommends olive drab. So let's get going. And I'll show you what it is to build the models. What happens is the instructions there showed you what to put together and a part of each. Now this is the B sprue. This whole large unit here is the B sprue. And then each part is numbered. So I think that's, what is that? Is that 9? I can't see it. So if you can't see it, let's just say it's 9. So that would be part B9. The instructions say to get part B9 and then you would assemble it to something else. And as always, when you're working with plastic parts like this, you should inspect them for little burrs and little inconsistencies, particularly where you cut it. Because that could make it difficult to assemble the model. So I use a little nail file there to clean it up. And as you should always dry fit the parts first to make sure they fit and you get it right in the right orientation in the right place before you actually glue it. And when you know you're good, you've got it right, then you can apply your glue and go ahead and glue the pieces together. So this model is pretty easy, like I said. A lot of the other models I built have like cockpits and inner workings, and this one really doesn't have any. It's just the outer shell and then the turret. So, that makes it a pretty easy build. And that little clip there is how the top will clip to it, the top half of the tank. So from here, the wheel assembly, which is pretty interesting. There are 3 different types of wheels. That's sprue A and all the various parts. And there's a lot of these wheels, and because the tank actually rolls, it's got this neat little setup with this little neoprene rubber kind of like bearing that goes inside. And that way it'll spin. So you put that little bearing inside, and then you glue the pieces together. And that little rubber bearing still spins inside there, and that's how they achieve the rolling of the wheels. And you'll see. So then there's a whole bunch of those, and those get attached right like that onto the sprue. And because it's the rubber, it's just like a squeeze fit. You don't have to glue it on. And it spins freely. So I made a whole bunch of those. Put the little rubber bearing in, and then glued them up. And then inserted them all onto the tank. So, you know, check them and adjust them as needed. I had to take one apart and redo it because a little bit of glue got on the bearing. But that's okay. You know, that's what you do. But it all looks good. See that? Everything spins pretty good. There's drive sprockets. There's a few different styles here. You can see that's a drive sprocket. Okay, so now let's continue on. We're going to start to build the top half of the tank. And this is for the main gun. Goes in there. And this is another moving part. You know, I like this model because it has a lot of nice little moving parts. And this is another no glue assembly, and the instructions tell you that. Don't apply any glue. See, and that way it can move, see? So the gun goes up and down, and then the turret itself will rotate on top of the main body of the tank. You know, tanks are very popular. This is like one of the most popular plastic models on Amazon. And it's actually made by a few different companies you can get. I bought the Tamiya one because it was the cheapest. You know, if you like military models and stuff like that, remember, I have so much stuff on my website about military dioramas, military models, how to make plastic models, and I mean, it's a lot of good stuff there. So here's another moving part. Here's the commander's hatch. And on top of this turret here, there were a bunch of little parts that I glued on, including the .50 caliber. I've actually fired one of those many times. It's quite a unique weapon. It's got a lot of power. It's a big gun. You never forget that sound it makes. So there you go. The turret is done. Oh, no, well, a little bit more. There's the gas cans. And there you go. Now the turret is done. Looks good. So now the tracks, and this is interesting. It's like some kind of a neoprene rubber or something. And in the directions, it shows you how to put this together so it'll stay together. And they recommend you heat up a little screwdriver. I'm using an X-Acto knife. And then you melt the two tracks. There's like a male and a female connection on it that you put together like a puzzle. And then you melt them together to hold it. So that's what I did. It's a little bit of a different technique. I haven't done this in a long time. But it works really well. It's kind of like rubber welding. You're welding together the pieces of rubber. And then you have the track. So you do this for two tracks, and then install them on the tank. Oh, and I had to paint those drive wheels, all those wheels first. And the directions tell you what color to paint it, of course. So that's it. With a little bit of stretching, it'll go right on there. Nice. Was no trouble. I thought I was going to have trouble with this, but I didn't. With any of the track stuff, it was pretty easy. So let's assemble it together. The top of the tank goes on, and then the turret's going to go on that, and they're both non-glued parts. And that way the turret can rotate, and the tank top snaps right on. See, it catches in that clip there. All right, from here, the tank is pretty much done. Now, it also comes with this is 3 figures, the commander and the 2 soldiers. And the directions show you how to assemble those and how to paint them. So I painted them all on the sprue. It's just easier to handle them like that. And it tells you which colors to do too. Then I painted the tank, just a simple green. I don't have any more olive drab because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it recommended olive drab, but this green came out good. And you know, I don't have an airbrush. People airbrush these tanks, which is their models, which is great. It looks great, but you know, if you take your time with a regular acrylic paint with brushes, it comes out pretty good. So that was just two colors, the black and the green. Black for the detail work, and that's that. Everything looks good. I like that shade of green. Here's a nice little addition for those soldiers to have. Also to be glued together. It's just kind of fun to do that too. Rather than just a miniature soldier, you have to, you know, put the arms on and the helmets and the weapons and stuff like that. And the little backpacks and canteens is kind of neat. So now the decals, and this is how we finish it off. Decals are a little bit different than what you think of normally if you've never done a model. What they are is the directions tell you where to put them, which ones, and depending on what configuration you want. You cut them out and you put them in water and let them soak for like 30 seconds or a minute until they can easily slide off the paper, and then you just slide them off of the paper and onto your model. And when they're on the model, you can still move them around a little bit to get them positioned just right. And a little cotton swab there works really good to dry it up. Move it around and dry it up. Here's a look at another one. So the 135 scale is a lot of fun. I'll probably do more 135 scale. And there it is, finished model. You know, because it's large enough to be easy to work with. And it's also small enough, and it also has enough detail work. So, you know, these models in this scale are pretty inexpensive. And, you know, this one, it gives you the ability to do stuff like that where it has a lot of various moving parts, which is just a fun little thing. I mean, I've done 172 models. How many different scales have I done? Quite a few different scales now. So that's that. Thanks for watching. Well, hold on. Let me just show you one more thing here. I laid out my various models that I have here on my YouTube channel on the Wizards table just to take a look at them. And for almost all of these, I have a video and a tutorial, a web tutorial. If I don't have a video, I have a web tutorial. And I was just looking at them and thinking, boy, you know, when I was a kid, I had so much fun making these. I really enjoyed it. It was just a wonderful time for me. And I'm glad that I've returned to it now, many years later. If you're a kid and you want to make a model, go for it. You'll enjoy it. And if you're like me, an older gentleman that's thinking about those things you used to do when as a kid, and why not? Was it 10, 15, 20 bucks? And you'll be glad you did it to kind of return to that old feeling where you made these interesting little plastic models. Thanks. Hit that subscribe button for me. Spread this stuff around. Check me out on Facebook.
Thanks for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're a subscriber, thanks for subscribing to my channel. If you're not a subscriber, hit that button. I always have lots of fun and interesting and very creative projects. I do 2 new ones every week. As an example, here's a couple more videos you might want to watch.